cybersecurity. It's a topic that has always been on top of minds, especially for businesses. However, for regular non-IT users, it's not as high of a knowledge area or a priority. And there's no doubt that we're using internet more and more every day, and with the devices that are in our lives, and now most notably, I would say the IoT devices, the smart watches, and the Alexas of the world, they are just intruding in our life more than ever before. So all this, the fun stuff and the cool stuff, that it comes with some risk, and there are some, of course. There are some areas that are hidden to a non-IT user, and that kind of exposes us to some of these vulnerabilities and some risks almost every single day. Some we navigate easily, some we don't even realize that we have been subject to a compromise or some of these malicious attacks. So I'm not by any means any expert in this domain. However, today we have two learned security professionals on our panel that who are going to help us navigate through these tricky subject, and of course answer any questions that you may have. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our panelists for today. So today we have Brother Nazir Sheikh, who is kind enough to join us for this panel discussion. Brother Nazir, he is the head of Global Technical Support Services, and that is a Checkpoint company, software technologies. And Nazir Bhai, I can read through this bio, but I would rather have Nazir Bhai basically explain and obviously tell about his journey when we get there. And followed by, we have also Sajid Server joining us today. Sajid is a hands-on security professional, and is also in the process of acquiring more knowledge and in terms of certifications and so on and so forth. So we'll also depend on Sajid to help us get more and better understanding of these some of these tricky cybersecurity questions. So without further ado, I'll pass on the mic to Brother Nazir, and it's all yours, Nazir Bhai. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Baseem, for the introductions, and welcome everyone to this KMA Tea and Meet. Some of you folks are familiar to me. There are a few people probably I know them by face, but Brother Rehan, Saad, and Brother Nabil. We have Jumana Saifuddin also joining. Welcome to the program. The purpose of this get together is kind of to create awareness around cybersecurity, and kind of we'll keep the discussion fluid and open to any questions you may have, even if it is not pertinent directly to cybersecurity, but leads into the security field. Then whatever we know, Brother Sajid and myself will try to answer them and address them. Security is becoming an integral part of our day-to-day life. And I think how it evolves, growing up as a child, the world was different before, and now it has evolved into, as Brother Baseem mentioned, everything smart around us, and globalization. We have moved. I'm originally from India, but now I'm in Canada, and I don't know in future where I will be. Cross-culture integration, people are moving, people are traveling a lot. Hence, we are getting out of our comfort zones into the field, into territories where we don't trust people. And when we don't trust people, we need to have a sense of security around us. And security, as just layman term, what security is kind of going back to years since growing, right? We didn't speak to strangers, or even if we spoke, we were not as open as we would be. Same concepts. Historically, what cybersecurity is today is based on the same principles and building blocks, where a lot of technology is used actually to secure everything around us. And the 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 other side, the bad elements, so to say, or the evil elements, or the elements who have malicious intentions, they are hungry to get anything or everything from us, and use it in ways which may not be beneficial directly to us, and cause larger harm to individuals, or to a community, or to a country. That's their motive. So the security is not only a field that for specific people. Even a doctor, even a marketing professional, any profession you pick up, they need to be aware of what entails cybersecurity, what are the risks out there, and how they should act to be part of the cybersecurity policies, the initiatives, to ensure that there is minimal damage to self as well as the organization that they work for. Um, we can also take a tangent into talk about various career opportunities that have evolved due to the explosion of cybersecurity as a field. Brother Basim, keep me true to the subject if I've and try to stir me.
Yeah.
I'm tired and I may talk too much.
So, Brother Nazir, if you don't mind, maybe shedding some light on the the ever growing requirements of basically providing more and more data. So I'll give you an example. These modern devices, what they offer these features of your thumbprint and your retina scan that allow you to unlock your phone or your face ID. So what's your thoughts on providing this kind of data to the devices?
So okay, that's a valid concern. So to say that, who do I trust to give this data? These so first of all, I would say that it's good because your biometric signature is very unique to identify yourself. So if you are unlocking your laptop or unlocking your phone with a biometric scan, then you're ensuring that the interaction thereafter, the exposure to the operating system and the data within your device is only for you. So that thing is a good to set up. Now, your question leads to that: who do I share this information? You should share this information with only companies that you trust. And if I have to say personally, the examples would be, I would share it with Samsung, for example, or with Google, because these companies, they have a reputation to ensure your data is kept secure. There are policies bound by you purchasing a Samsung device, or you purchasing a Google device or an Apple device, and they will take every measure. These are large corporations who take security seriously. Similarly, you wouldn't give this data to any other company who you do not trust. So I would give that data to a TD Canada Trust, whom I bank with, because basically they have my money. So whoever you give your money to, you trust them. So you would give that data to them. It provides a better security. Now, one aspect of it is your voice signature. There you should be a little cautious. I can, and some of y'all can relate to it, and I've spoken about this earlier, that you get these blank calls on your cell phones or your home phones. And I almost fear saying or doing a normal conversation in that sense. Sometimes the caller is unknown, and I don't know that person. I didn't expect that call. So my fear at that point, and this is the question on the awareness of security, is that do I leave my voice signature and have a conversation with that? Because that voice signature can be used to unlock my account, for example. So you should be cautious in those areas. My wife laughs at it, but whenever I don't know somebody, I'm speaking in a tone and a voice which is not my normal voice. And my wife will say, "Why are you doing that?" I said, "I don't know that person. Maybe he's recording my voice and he can emulate that to unlock an account of mine or something if I have left that voice signature. TD is asking me actually for a voice signature, and I'm not giving them that voice signature because I prefer the two-factor authentication method where they send me a message and I respond back with a code to say, I am Nazir, you know.
Fair enough. Fair enough. That's a good piece of information, because these are growing trends where banks devices, they keep asking for new modes of authentication, and obviously the regular user, they're not fully aware, and they fully don't fully understand the context of it. Now I want to switch gears and maybe ask Brother Sajid to chime in, and basically obviously just talk about your experiences so far, and maybe if you want to start with touching on some of the more frequent risks that we get exposed to on a daily basis while surfing internet or receiving emails and so on and so forth. So if you would like to start with that, that would be great.
Yeah, thank you so much, and Jazakallah for providing the opportunity speaking on this topic. So, as Brother Nazir mentioned, so security is not just like, just only not responsibility of the IT person. It is responsibility of the every person in every profession. So we should be taking care of every step we do, and especially for me, like, because your email is the one of the most important thing, because no matter you have the banking transaction or any other sensitive information, if anything happens, so you always get back response to the email, and then you reset your password, right, like that thing. So just I want to give one real fact about how email is important, and what you think, just like how many spam emails are being sent every day, like anyone can guess, just like how many millions or how many billions, something, just any guess. Anyone can speak or just type in the chat. I just need rights to share
100,
the
maybe 100 a
screen.
day. You think
Yeah,
that's
I can. Yeah, I can share the some interesting facts. Can someone please give me the admin rights? I make the host, co-host.
No, you can click on the share button at the bottom
No,
on the
it's
ribbon.
just a host disabled participants.
Oh, okay. So Shehbaz bhai, you can give
Done. Yes,
share to.
I made it. Sajid, you can share now. You're the co-host now.
Okay, thank you so much. So, so everyone share see my screen.
Yeah, it's visible.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So this is one of the site from the Cisco Telos. So this one is the fact from how many emails are being sent, like on the daily basis. So in December 2020, so over 140 billions spam emails are being sent, and just only 26 billions are like the legit emails are being sent. So just about 85% are the spam emails. So we get a lot of emails, So especially I also work on the email security as well. So I deal with so many incidents with, like, the emails are being sent from, those are called, like, the spam email, or maybe, the affecting, like, for the emails coming from the senior management, like that. So these are, like, we need to be very careful about when we respond, especially the sensitive information. Just like banks will never ever ask for any kind of information, and I'm sure, like, many people know about it. And for the other things, I can also share some other things, but our purpose is just like to make this forum the open, and if anyone like to ask any question or discuss anything, it could be related to an IT or any area of, like, being in the career as well. I can share one more thing is, this is one of the career path, in if someone wants to start the IT career. So here is the file from the CompTIA. So there are different career paths. So someone can start being like this one is blue one is for the information security, and second one is the network and cloud, hardware services and infrastructure. Can be start career in IT management and strategies. So these are like this. Someone can start from, the CompTIA project and then work on the further see Prince 2 practitioner, and then it will be the getting the achievement in the IT management. So there are so many paths available. So we can also discuss in the career, or maybe in the transition from technical to the management side.
So,
Great.
Brother Sajid touched a very good topic of spam, and you saw the volume, and this is the volume that people take advantage of. That there is so much bulk of spam going on, and spam, as you know, I think everybody knows what spam is. Spam is basically marketing. So you're sending unsolicited email to a lot of people, and these, how do these people get emails? They buy emails. Emails can be bought. You register to so many sites, and unknowingly you check a box which says that company is allowed to share your email address with a partner, and bogus companies are set up to create that partnership so that they can have your email. You drop your business cards in lunches and dinners and emails, those emails get somewhere else. So hogging, that mining of email addresses is a big business, and this is sold in the market, and spammers use that email. Now all spammers are not bad. Now the problem is, everybody wants to market their service, and people are making an honest living out of it. So spam is, that huge volume. Not everything is bad. Somebody's making a living out of it, honestly speaking. So, and sometimes it's good information within those emails also. But the risk is that there are hackers. So when we say hackers, everybody knows there are two type of personalities in the hackers. One is an ethical hacker, and one is an evil hacker, like a person who will do malicious activities. So people in within that data of marketing data, they'll have a false marketing data, and there will be links on it. And if you click on those links, then that's where the problem starts. There are spam is one thing. Then using spam, people do phishing. This is another terminology, which is it increases the risk. Brother Baseem had experienced an example himself where a form of phishing called spear phishing, like an employee, a person within your organization, the email comes from him actually, and you trust that person, and you click on his email address, and it's actually a spear phishing a campaign. And then now there is voice phishing and SMS phishing, which is called vishing and smishing. So all these are new realities that you should be aware of, and who to trust, and how to act on those messages. I keep telling my children that only only you can trust the love from your mother, and other than that, if anything says the word free, and that free is not really free. There is some malicious intent sometimes, and sometimes non-malicious intent behind getting your data, and you should be cautious of that. Whenever you sign up for something free, a Facebook account is free, and you know how Mark Zuckerberg used your data. There is a video going on in WhatsApp groups these days where one girl is showing you how, when you're not in Facebook, off Facebook, how Facebook is recording all your activity and using that activity for their benefit, for targeting ads to you, and so forth. And then there are so many various examples. So anything that you sign up for free, know that you are at some risk of exposing a little bit of your data, and that data may be used in ways that you may not intend to. Now, privacy, a violation of privacy is an entirely different thing, and that affects an individual in a good or bad way. You should be cautious about that too. And then loss of data. Loss of data is damaging. Um, um, Data is valuable, data is money. There are many phrases around data. And like it could be a loss of your family photos, which you want to preserve. A good friend of mine actually damaged his hard drive, and he was heartbroken that he had his children's photo. It was not a loss in a cyber threat space, but it was a loss. So, there are two paradigms to losing data. So, there are many methods for securing data, passwords and authentication, how to secure passwords, how to authenticate. Two-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication is the best way to ensure that even if your password is compromised, your second factor, which sends you a code via SMS or a link via another email, that authentication method is the most safe and secure authentication method. And then the use of biometrics. Trust the companies that you buy products from, because then you have agreements with that company by virtue of your contract with them to keep your data secured. Any site which you're using free services from, I wouldn't even store my credit card with that company. So leaving credit card information with Amazon, with other companies. Amazon is a very large company. They have a good security infrastructure. But Shopify had a problem, and so many other companies had problems. And people had lost their credit card information to unknown elements.
I think, Brother Nazir, you touched on a very good point about passwords, and we are seeing the questions start trickling in about passwords, right? Now, I can tell you, I'm actually guilty of creating those passwords. They don't look like password; they look like something extremely difficult. And so on one extreme, we create very difficult passwords, and there's another extreme where the password could be as simple as welcome123 ? Right? So what do you think? And from hackers' point of view, how they see and how they approach this, and what's your suggestion on finding a place which is reasonable, which help you? You don't have to Excel files of passwords. So what's your thoughts on that? Any brother Nazir or Sajid, whoever want to answer this question?
Brother Sajid?
Yeah, I can. That was I already included in my topic, so I want to share my screen again. And so for saving the password, so yeah, so it is really challenging, to keep password safe or remember the passwords, because it is not recommended. Don't use like the same password for so many accounts. Just like some people, they have habit, they can't remember, they keep the same password for the email, same password for the banking account, and some other sensitive information. The solution I have, this is one of the the app, it is called Password Safe. So you can create and the database here, and then you can save, and you can also uh, save this database on the computer, and you can also install. There are so many other application on the mobile phone as well, but I don't trust on the mobile phone. It can be lost, or it can be easily compromised. It all depends on the usage of their usage of the phone. So it is just very simple. Use how we can use this one. So I can make like the new database, I can save it, and then I can create new group, just like I can say like this is my email password something, and then I can create new entry, and then I can title here like TD something, and what is my username, this one, and I can type password, or I can even generate passwords I can show here. So you can see it generated like one of the we can't remember these kinds of password. But for the security reason, because I'm also studying the CISSP, so it is not recommended like use minimum 16 characters password, and it would be very difficult for us to remember. But for very sensitive accounts, just like for the email and for your banking information, so I would recommend at least for these two, use like at least 16-digit password, 16 characters password, and then you can save it on any reliable storage application. I don't recommend to save password on the cell phone. And there is also another question for like using the Facebook and other. So I would say create another email and just use that email for for social activities, for social accounts. So it's, so if there is like the breach of account, so you can at least save your integrity or confidentiality, not having your real email or the email you use for for your transactions.
Okay, so Brother Saj, you touched on two important things. And first of all, this is a pretty cool tool, and I'm guessing it's free, correct?
Yeah, it is
It's
free, and this is
perfect.
one of the reliable.
Reliable.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so basically, this is another important reminder that there may be tools available that are better than Excel, and saving an Excel file and naming it as an important password file, right? So never do that, and maybe you can use something like this. This is a great tool. I hope people have taken note of this. Now, just similar to this, there's and you touched on another important point, is that to have a separate email for your social media accounts and have a separate email login for your bank and so on and so forth, correct?
Yes.
So that's a good reminder.
Yeah.
Now, there's another question that has come up, and that is basically, how about linking your different social media and your different other outlets? So for example, now if you're signing up for Zoom, perhaps it would ask you to, do you want to use your Google or Gmail account login, or your Apple login, or any other social media platform? What's your thoughts on linking these different accounts with the same authentication?
Yeah, we can use, as I mentioned, just create a separate account and then link, because we use the terms SSO, single sign on. So that means like using just only one ID. It could be any email ID, and then any platform, just like Zoom or any other sites can be. You can also log in without signing up a new account. So I mean, SSO allows to join any, and it's, for example, like Zoom, without signing up an account, and you don't need to create like the username and password, and then you can use those services. And there I also would like to mention one more thing, like creating any Microsoft document, suppose like Word, Excel, PowerPoint. So we can set the password. I'm sure many people will know, but I'm just sharing one time, so anyone who doesn't know can save the password. So when we save, so there is option tools when we type the name of the file first time, or even if you have already saved the file, so there would be same option. So tools and journal option, so we can type password to open. Actually, we can type two types of password, type file to open and file to modify as well.
Okay, so this is great. I hope people have taken note of that.
Yeah, so
now, along the same line, what I would like to do is I'd like to give a quick disclaimer, is that the information that we are sharing here is by no means an advice for anyone to do exactly this. We suggest that you do your research and come up with your with the best plan that or strategy that fits best for you. This is not an advice that we are suggesting. This is basically best practices that we are sharing. So just wanted to kind of put this out there as a disclaimer. So with that said, now we talked about two different things. One is using an application like Password Safe, and also the inbuilt feature in Excel and Word and other applications to protect your documents using a password. Correct?
yes.
I'll just add one thing, is that somebody asked that how frequently you should change the password. There are a couple of factors to that. The length of your password, the number of characters you use. Companies sometimes will say minimum 8 characters, but then a maximum limit is also there. So if you keep longer passwords, and if any hacker would invest the time, it takes a lot of time to break a password. So the longer the length, the more difficult it is to break the password. And even if a lot of computing power is used to calculate or infer your password, it will take a long time. So longer passwords take longer time to break. And if there are websites which will tell you how long will a powerful computer take to break a password. So your time for changing the password should be shorter than that time. So, keep that in mind. So
That's good to know. That's good to know. Usually, the recommendation is minimum 90 days, but I think if one can do earlier than that, that's great. Now, another question that's popping up in my mind, and anyone can answer this question is, when we're logging into a different website and social media sites or any other platform these days, the browser, not the site, but the browser basically provide you an ability to save the password in the browser itself, right? So what's your thoughts on saving passwords in the browser for future use?
It is safe in my opinion, because the browser itself uses an encryption methodology to save the password. So it's not like that password is in clear text and anybody can get that password. But it again use a lot of common sense, in the sense that if it's banking, probably you should not save that password. If it's a casual site that you visit infrequently, then you may save the password. Always revisit and change your passwords. And brother Sajid provided a very good tool where you can keep your password as a safe keep. And as I said, two-factor authentication is important. And there are apps from Google and Microsoft, which is called Authenticator. They both use the same name. It generates a random six-digit code every 1 minute, I think, and that code changes. So when you authenticate, you can put that code as a second factor for your access. Be aware that when you use Facebook or Google as your authentication for websites, those like Facebook then exchanges your information with that company. So you're creating a chain of exchanging information. So just be cognizant of that.
Sounds good. Thank you. Now, what I'd like to do is just to shift gears just a little bit and talk about the careers in security. And the first thing I want to talk about is this. We have security professionals and practitioners who basically are responsible for security in organizations. However, there's a trend now that the security is basically taking the center stage in the C-suite and sitting with the leadership. How are you seeing this trend, and what is your advice for anyone in the technology domain if they're looking at basically upgrading their career or switching into security, and especially basically transition into the managerial positions on the security side? What's your thoughts on this?
So as I said, security is becoming a skill or a requirement across all the professions. Even a doctor should know what cybersecurity is and how it affects him personally or his business or his profession. Doctors are working with a lot of technology equipment around them, and they need to keep it secure so that it operates effectively, as well as if there is data associated or recorded in that equipment or device, for example, your medical records, how secure it is within that device or to a server or a network that is connected to. So that security hat needs to be worn by each and every professional. And once you've worn that hat and you understand security better, you can decide that if this is the career path you want to switch into. I don't expect doctors to enter the security field, but a lot of other professions can find this field very attractive. There is a lot of opportunities within the cybersecurity world, and it's a growing investment which every company is making consciously to promote security within their organization. So there's a lot of job security in security. If you're good at it, there's a lot of job security. Whenever I hire people, I tell them that you are guaranteed employment for life if you wish to work with the team. I won't fire you unless you want me to fire you. So that's one thing, job security is there. And two is, how do you, Brother Sajid shared a very good career map, various aspects of learning the building blocks of IT first, and then foraying into specific branches of security. Cybersecurity generates a lot of logs. There's a huge shortage of people to review that logs. Artificial intelligence is being used to analyze those logs and act upon those alerts. So that is one profession which is always you need to be a security analyst, a security auditor, a person who's constantly doing that job. Security support, technical support. My organization, for my company, provides support to Fortune 500 companies. The demand is very high. All the baby boomers have retired, all those people, and all youngsters are stepping into this field, learning the ropes of security, learning how to support security devices, uh, be it security gateways, which are called firewalls, or spam protection devices. Brother Sajid spoke about spam. You have dedicated hardware which basically filters out all the spam. That's another area. So if the technology people in this meeting are aware of the OSI model, the 7 layers of communications in the network world, there is security elements and aspect to each layer, right from the application to the physical layer where you connect cables. So there are 7 layers to this. I think it's physical, data link, network, transport, session, presentation, and application. Application commonly is what we interact with, our apps on the phone, the browser, and all that area. Physical is where cables are connected, and physical security is equally important. We as human beings are the weakest element in the entire chain where cybersecurity is involved, because all breaches and lack or lapse of security happens due to human errors. Unfortunately, that's our DNA. That's in our DNA, and hence the awareness is important. So careers into security analyst, security auditing, supporting security devices. There is ever going demand. It's a very demanding career. There is almost a discussion that security professionals are equally weighted to ER doctors, basically, because due to security breach, if I can give you an example that one security element caused 3 days in which United Arab Emirates, one emirate, Abu Dhabi, not a single citizen could withdraw money from ATMs with a very reputed bank in the country. So the importance of the people who were involved in a war room scenario to undo that breach and restore normalcy was very mammoth across globe, across country. Everybody got it. It's very similar to a brain surgery happening at that time. It's a very demanding career. It's a very rewarding career. It's a very exciting career. And so if you have an aptitude for it, and as Brother Sajid explained, there is a career path to it, go for it.
Wonderful. That's great. So now I think it's a perfect segue to my next question, that is for Sajid, because Sajid is in the process of the certification of CISSP. So Sajid, if you don't mind sharing your experience so far and your journey so far with the certification and the learning process, and maybe there's maybe someone in the audience may have the question regarding the certification.
Yeah, I can share my experience. So I started my career. The first certification I did was the Oracle certification. I'm Oracle certified professional with version 8, so almost 15 years old version. So for me, the first thing I would say, like, do your due diligence before selecting any career. Do check your interest. Are you really interested in, like, starting career in IT? And especially security is not an easy job. Why? Because you have to be, just like Brother Nazir mentioned, like, it is security profession equal to the ER, like it is right. So we have to be have to be on call, and after hours, and sometimes, all the night. I spend many nights, waking up just like doing the troubleshooting, or there are some breaches, or doing regular work or some project work, because we can't do anything during the normal business hour unless there is some emergency change. We can do it. So because having so many experience in Microsoft, Cisco, and some other technologies, so I decided to move forward with being in the management. So I started CISSP, that is the gold standard certification in IT security. The most interesting thing is it touches each and everything. I mean, like starting from your company, from it touches with the businesses, it touches with all the risk management, and all your physical controls, logical controls, your technical controls. And the one more interesting thing is, after doing CSSP, I can able to talk to any person, just like I can able to talk with the doctor, because there are like the security frameworks, HIPAA, that is like, that is for the person who is like what kind of the patient information, how to secure patient information. And if any person is doing a business having a credit or debit card, there's a standard with the PCI DSS standard. So that is also mean like I can advise them like how they can secure and how they can compliance according to PCI DSS standards, to be, how to secure the customer credit information or debit information. So it is like it is very a wide area, and if, if you have like, and the one thing is there's no like, such as a requirement, you must be have so much experience. As per the organization, that is called ISC2 or isscare.org. So it is mentioned on the website as well. So you don't need to have any experience. Suppose if you prepare for the CISSP, so you will be called associate CISSP certified, and you will get 6 years time to get the required experience. I mean, you must have 5 years experience in one of the IT domains. So there are currently 8 domains in the CSSP. So if you have required experience, then after that you will be called CSSP. And one more interesting thing is like, if anyone is starting the career, I would say like go through at least CISSP. It is like the combination of, A plus, Network plus, Security plus, each and everything. So it gives you like a broad view and overview of like what is like total IT is. It's just not like, just the security. It explains even the what kind of locks we should use in in the building, or in the business, or in the data center. So each and everything is discussed. It is called like, it is 1 inch deep, but it is 1 mile wide. So it is a so many topics are discussed in the CSSP.
To finally get the CISSP certification, I've also learned that you're awarded the certification only if another CISSP asserts your
Yeah,
accreditation.
yeah. So
So,
after passing the exam, so you need to get accreditation from the person who is certified and maintaining their certification. So means like he's paying the professional fee and continuing professional education as well.
yeah, so I would recommend an approach that within our community, within your circle, you associate with such a person, demonstrate your skills and capability so that you win his recommendation. It's
Yes.
not like you study a book, you give an exam, and you become CISP.
No, this is not the regular exam. So I have done so many certification, and honestly, I never felt like the such difficulty. I passed like say a Security Plus exam as well. Last year in November, I passed Microsoft Azure Security one. Security is like a little bit difficult, but CISSP is not a technical exam. So, but it is still it is difficult because it has so many topics to discuss, to remember, but not remember, I would say you need the understanding, and you need to think like a manager or think like a CEO. So then you would be able to pass the exam.
Okay. Another question I have, Brother Nazir, which is related to this. What's your advice for especially I would say girls in our community and younger, in younger generation? Because what I've in my personal career, I've not seen many girls in the security side. What's your experience has been in security in terms of the gender distribution?
Well, you've hit a very interesting topic there, because there was a study done, and there are very few girls in the technology. Yes, in software development, yes, but where cybersecurity is concerned, no. The reason being is that kind of, I apologize, I'll just stop this ringer. So whenever it comes to IT, whenever it comes to computers or the world of cybersecurity, a hacker is always a guy with a hood on. It's always a guy, and this gives an impression to girls that this is not a profession for us. So there are very few girls in this profession, and girls are very talented, and there is a big move in Americas, and I don't know about Canada specifically, but in America, I've learned of an organization which is promoting security as a profession in schools, in elementary schools, and encouraging girls to participate in this. As I told you, there is a big void to fill cybersecurity professionals, various career paths, and girls can contribute a lot. As you know, the equation of females is also higher than males in the world. So if girls foray into this field, they can fill the gap very efficiently. It also helps companies, like in my company, we aspire to maintain gender, not equality, but at least a percentage. And we actually choose girls, even if they're not as, their level of knowledge is not that great compared to a guy. We let a guy not hire a guy, but we hire a girl to promote the career. So please, if this interests your daughters and your sisters, then encourage them to enter into this field.
That's definitely great advice, and most of us, I guess, here are married men, with the exception of few, and I think we all know that women are great in forensics. So I'm sure they'll make a great security professional, right?
And women are not known to not trust everything easily, so they'll make a better security professional.
Great, this is good. I think as next question, I think what I would like to do is make it a little bit more general question, and this pertains to everyone in any career, basically. So, what's your advice? Because you're in a senior leadership position, and you have been in a leadership position for some time now. What's your advice for people who are in their careers where they are more as either a frontline contributor or individual contributor, and now they want to escalate, and now they want to go to the next level as a manager or lead a team, and so on and so forth? What do you suggest? What qualities and what traits they need to develop in their for themselves to become that to get into that senior leadership roles? What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, this is general advice. I'm not saying this is specific to security. Always believe in your own capabilities and skills. As Brother Sajid said, that if a profession, anything that it is, you love it, you have a passion for it, you will excel in it. So do the study first to understand what you desire. Now, once you're in a profession, as Brother Baseem asked the question, you can choose to be an individual contributor, or you can choose to be a person who manages people. So if you have the natural skills of managing people, then foray into the management area. Otherwise, within the security world or within the IT world, um, um, your technical capabilities as an individual contributor allows you to scale up into similar levels as a manager. So it doesn't mean that a manager of people gets a higher salary and not an individual contributor. So if that misunderstanding is 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 not right. So as an individual contributor, you can foray into becoming technology leaders, owning and understanding technology to the depths that now you can design elements using that technology. You can become architects, you can become, and the foray into higher technical capabilities and skills as an individual contributor. And on the management side, obviously, it's very similar to any organization. You start managing team, you start managing groups, you start directing, and then you go into C-level roles, and the responsibility keeps on increasing. There are pros and cons to each of the profession. If you like to be an individual contributor, you're pretty much in control of your own destiny, because it entirely depends on your skills, your brain cells, and how you understand, assimilate, and create, innovate. Whereas managing people comes with its own challenges.
No, this is a great insight into this as well. Now, with this question, I've actually exhausted all my questions. I don't have anything further to ask, unless there are question in the audience. And I'd like to also ask Brother Shabazz to chime in, and if there's any comments, suggestions, questions, or the floor is open, please feel free to ask any other questions if anyone has.
So, Baseem, Brother Nazir, and Sajid, you guys are doing a great job. Really, very good, interesting session. The crowd today is very interactive, so I would encourage them to ask questions. So if you can quickly, glance through the questions that were raised in the chat window to see if any other question has been unanswered.
So I have a question, Brother Baseem. Rehan.
Assalamu alaikum, Rehan.
Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Good.
So my question is, how can we motivate our young generation to go for security, type of jobs? Because what I have noticed in these youngsters, they are still not that much, confident how to choose their field and all. So if Brother Nazir or Brother Sajid can discuss this or highlight some tips or points, so that would be fruitful.
Yeah, I can contribute. So before I start, so I would like to mention for everyone information. Inshallah, next week we will have another very informational and very useful session with one of our IT professional. So there you will inshallah get more motivation about how we can engage everyone to participate, not just only for making the money, for also making a career in an IT profession, especially in the IT security. Yes,
Brother Rehan, I'll share an experience, a personal experience. I'm blessed with 3 children, and 2 of them work for ID, but one of them didn't start with ID. He started with social sciences in Ottawa U, and he was doing good. He was not doing bad. But what I observed is that, as you said, you do not see that inclination or interest, and they do not have that sort of acumen towards IT. Um, so what I advised in that sense is that this was an observation for my son, that at a very young age, kind of, I gave him the reins of managing the home network. And this was an exercise I gave it to all 3 of them, but one of them picked it. So I sensed that he has that inclination. And I made him whole and soul responsible for managing the home network. So he used to go and find out, obviously since I was in that profession, I could give him the tools or the guidance. So as a parent, and within your social networks, within this forum, you may know a lot of people in the IT world. You can take help and check out your children if they have that inclination. So he was the administrator of the home network. He used to go and reset the Wi-Fi password frequently for the home. He used to do the connections. If something didn't work, he troubleshot it. That was kind of the so when as a social science I was seeing that he doesn't have the passion for it, I suggested, how about you making this a career as a change. So he switched from the Ottawa U course to a course in Algonquin, and he found his way. He's employed in the same company as me as an entry-level technical advisor. So if that advice helps you in any way, it's, I think, the exposure to the IT world. And when my daughter does programming, she did it from Carleton U. And again, this is just, talking about the career and then giving them that opportunity and chance to explore or experience it.
I think it's great advice. Jazakallah
Thank
khair.
you.
Rianbe, do you have any follow-up question?
No, this is quite a comprehensive answer. Thank you.
Jazakallah khair. Yeah,
I have a
and
question from a youth for the panelists.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
How do we protect sensitive information handled and stored by third-party vendors?
Never trust your sensitive information to third-party vendors. As I told you, if that vendor you're interacting with them is giving you a free service, he's going to use that information in some way or the other for his own benefit. If it's not a free service, then you're bound by an agreement and a contract with that customer. A lot of us, it's called EULA, E-U-L-A, End User License Agreement. It's a very big form. None of us reads it completely. But if you are in a paid service, for example, you signed up to a subscription and you're paying them monthly fees to use it, then there will be a better terms in protecting your data. But if it's free, I wouldn't trust them with any sensitive information. Unfortunately, I'll just go into a segue. Unfortunately, the world has become such that some level of transparency is expected with us. I travel a lot with my job. When I'm at a border and I'm answering questions, if those questions don't match with my Facebook profile, I would be screened a lot. That is reality today. So we have to maintain a balance of how much information is available out in the public domain, your LinkedIn profile, your Facebook profile, and your Google profiles versus something sensitive. Would you really want to put that out? So I would say the applications you use, the softwares you use in the IT world, be cautious, look at the profiles, what information is there, whether it needs to be there, whether you trust somebody. You need to have a hacker's mind. A hacker is a person who doesn't trust anybody, basically, and he questions everything. So develop that hacker's mind and question, am I giving this information? How is this information going to be used? I'll give you an example. I was at an airport in India, and it's very common at airports, you get free Wi-Fi. So you have to weigh in your mind, do I need to use this free Wi-Fi now? Or I don't use it? Well, I need to use it. So, okay, if anything that is free, it's mandated by law that that person needs to know you before they give you a free Wi-Fi access. So you have to give your mobile number, you have to give your email address and a name. And the mobile number is used to send some authentication code back to you. And then you put in. Now, unfortunately, I didn't have a local mobile number. So I walked to the information kiosk and I said, is there any other way I can get free internet access? And they said, yes, please give me your passport and I will scan it. And then I will give you a mobile to do the authentication, and the code will come to this mobile and you can read the code and put it in your phone so that your phone's browser or your laptop's browser will work. Now I question myself, what are they going to do with my passport? Right? That's sensitive information. Will they secure it? And then I questioned myself, do I really need this internet access? And the answer was no. So I didn't give that password. And I said, no, thank you. I live for whatever hours at this airport without internet access.
That's an incredible answer.
So, sorry, Nazir bhai, Fahad here. Can I ask something?
Yep.
So, so you just mentioned that if it's free, there is always a catch.
Yes.
And Sajid bhai just inform us about a software which is free, but password safe. What we should do now?
Yeah. So these password safe, and there is more. There are 3 or 4 more. I can send it out to the KMA administrator. These softwares have been in the industry for very long, and they've established trust with the security world. So whatever Sajid Bhai has recommended to you, it's not a recommendation based on, that this is free and take it. What I'm talking of, don't trust the free, is have that sense in your mind that if it's free, there has to be some catch. Now, what he's referring to is a local app, and everything is local within your hard drive. You put in a password, it generates a password, and then it secures your password locally. It doesn't store anything on the internet or anywhere else. So that's safe to use. But the free things I'm saying is the traps, the attraction. Give me this and I'll give you this back free. So that's where you need to be cautious. You need to question yourself. Do I really need it? And what am I giving in return to get it?
So there's a question
Thank you.
from Brother Ghulam Mustafa. He says, I believe I think it's more of a comment, but maybe one of you can comment. He believes a passphrase is better than a password, and it would be easy to remember. So what are your views on that?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, so that is another passphrase mean like we can use some sentence we can remember. Again, that shouldn't be like, the very common. So as I mentioned, I'm studying, so there is always, so hackers has a long databases. They have different methods to crack the password. One method they use is the dictionary words. So mean like whatever the possible dictionary words in the world, they have that database. So they try their password. The other one is called brute force password attack. So mean whatever the combination in the world is possible, they have that database as well. So I just try to mention, maximize the length of your password. Your password shouldn't be less than 8 to 10 characters less. So if you can do more, and then you can use it. Just like the techniques, I can mention some, like, our like the postal codes are, like type of unique, right? So we can use, just like you can use your postal code of like, first 3 characters of first postal code and last 3 characters of any other postal code, and some in the between you can put something that is not, based on the dictionary word. So something like that, you can create your own strategy to make your password complicated. Something like, you can just generate. So that is just one of the idea from my own point of view to make password more complicated. I used to, use like just couple of password, but after like, many years, I realized it's not too safe. Just like I can share one real example, like about 15 years ago. So I was like, when I was using Yahoo Messenger, one of my class fellow, he sent me message. He said like, Yahoo Groups is not working. Can you please try to log in? So he sent me the link. So I just, because I trust with that guy, so I just opened the link and just I type my username and password. And then after that, he sent me message, I hacked your password. I said, why you did do that? So then after that, I just tried to call him because I was in Canada. So I contacted him by phone. He said, actually, his account was hacked. So mean whenever someone, even, reliable person try to ask you some money or any sensitive information or any just link, just like, I was being trapped. So just try to look at, the link, always link, is it like reliable link? Sometimes there is, just like the typoscating mean like some links are similar, just like Google, there are double O, but they might be, someone hackers can have a domain or website with OOGOOLE.com or .ca, whatever. So these are like, different techniques. So we should be very careful when we open the site, and whenever you open the site, so always check the green lock on the site. Let me just quickly show for maybe, some people don't know. So I can show that
While Brother
quickly.
Sajid is opening that, the techniques used for luring you into believing something else is generations old. People will be acting as imposters, as we know. So similarly, in the IT world, people act as somebody else. They will use camouflage techniques, like Brother Sajid explained about the name, trying to match it to something similar. Very common last few months, I've seen Costco and Shoppers Drug Mart emails coming to my mailboxes, which are actually not from Costco and Shoppers Drug Mart. If, as Brother Sajid said, if you look at the email address, it's something else, but the name before that shows that it's Shoppers Drug Mart, and they're sending you coupons in that email. Those coupons has a link embedded behind it, which takes you to a site momentarily and then directs you to Shoppers Drug Mart. So that momentarily, whatever risks or transactions happen, they happen at the very first moment. If anybody subscribes to Netflix, there is one documentary currently being shown, like very popular, called Sabotage, I think. So when we land at an airport, when you're landing at a flight and you're landing at the airport, what is the first thing you do when your plane lands and the captain says it's safe to turn on your mobile devices? Everybody goes for that mobile phone and switch on their device. Now, guess what? Majority man in the middle attacks happen at that time, because when you're switching on your phone is trying to go and connect to your cell phone tower. Now, what happens is that randomly in the public areas, or even somebody may buy a ticket and be in the secure area, there will be a guy with the transmitting device, and he will basically intercept all your attempts to connect to a cell phone provider like Rogers or Bell. And then he will act as a man in the middle to he will connect you to the cell phone tower. But that initial interaction when your phone is connecting, at that time, some malicious code and data will be transferred to your phone. And then whatever you do after that time in that country, basically your data is being stolen or compromised at that time. So Brother Sajid, go ahead. Sorry for taking a few
No,
minutes.
yeah, really appreciate the information. I just want to add one more thing. So man in the middle mean like you are uh, communicating with the, like, your cell phone tower or whatever your end devices. But man in the middle have all the information, mean the man in the middle is watching all the information and can modify your information. That is like, another technical debate. So I just don't want to, give more technical information, just in the simple word. So whenever you visit any site, so please always pay attention. You have this log. So that is mean like we have trust on this site. So because whenever you register a site, so there is the long process to register a domain, and then you can get a digital certificates. So
Sorry, Sajid, we cannot see your screen.
okay, let me just share. So it was
Just minimize the browser so that it comes in the middle of the screen rather than the top line, because there is something called live custom screening, which is obfuscating your text.
okay. So can you see now?
Now move it in the center of the screen so people can see. Yeah.
Can you see now?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that. So always pay attention, on the logs. So here it says secure connection. If I click on the arrow, so just I'm using the Mozilla Firefox. So click here and click on more information. So it will show another window. So that is called, your digital information. So here we should always see like, this is the certificate. It is issued to Google, and then verified. Google has their own, the testing certificate authority, and when it will expire. And then there are like, some other technical information, like they are using TLS encryption. That is the latest encryption in the IT world. And here we can see when it was scheduled. So the one more thing I just like want to mention here. So I don't remember uh, any other site for giving the example that is not trusted. But when I just I wanted to join the site for a today's session, I noticed in Kanata Muslim there is like certificate is not secure. So just so I would recommend administration to please look at why it is not secure, because that is not good for for the browsing. So there is some I need to contact with the domain hosting company.
So at the KMA site, never put your credit card information or any secure. If you're just viewing notifications, that's just text. But if I have to do a financial transaction using that site, I wouldn't do it because the security on that website is not good.
Great. I think this is great information. I think what we'll do is we'll have to kind of build it from here on security side, and we'll get some feedback from the audience to see where the interest is. If the audience is more, they're interested in learning more about certifications, about other specific areas, either other phishing attacks or spams or whatever it may be. I think we'll take it from there. So I think we are almost at the bottom of the clock here, and if there are no further questions, I guess we can call it tonight, and maybe look for the others for the next session. And I guess the next session, and Shivalpe, if you wanna basically give a quick intro to that, that would be great, and maybe wrap up the session for tonight.
Sure. So I would like to thank the team for moderating this so successfully, beautifully done. And Nazir and your answers, your interactive style, I think, was really very good. And for the patient audience as well, thank you very much for joining. We live Facebook and YouTube, so people who joined there next time as well. Next week we are planning session. Alnafe. Alnafe is an excellent professional e-learning platform that has been developed in Canada by really smart people. People
Shivalpe,
who
your
want
voice, Shivalpe,
very
your
high
voice is
quality
really,
universities. Can you hear
sorry,
Sorry,
Shivalpe,
we cannot
your
hear.
voice is really choppy.
me? Yes, I think my system has been probably hacked. So I was probably not paying attention to the security advices I was getting. So I'm probably hacked. But I was just telling the audience that please join us next week, same time at KMA Meet and Tea. We will be joined by the president and CEO of the Al Nafi Group. Al Nafi Group is a non-profit initiative by very high-profile IT professionals from Toronto. They have created this platform whereby they are providing almost free, very high quality education on IT subjects. So IT security is one, data analytics, artificial intelligence are others, and they are doing that in multiple languages. Their idea is to expand the awareness of IT information to many communities and many languages. So I really urge everyone who was here today to please spread the word and also join in our next session on Thursday at 8:30. So thank you very much again, everyone. May Allah be with you all. Thank you. Assalamu
Jazakallah
alaikum.
khair. Before we leave, Dr. Shafaq, Dr. Shafaq, please go ahead with your question.
Jazakallah khair. Thank you. I don't mean to keep everybody later, but I did have a question for any one of the panelists. Nazir Bhai brought up an important discussion on records and health records and medical professionals and that sort of thing. But one of the questions that I have is that, so when you're storing, let's say, medical records or electronically, a lot of our backup systems, we have various forms of backup systems that we can engage in our offices, and one of it's cloud based. So how do you know that the providers who are that you've hired and who are associated with your software management systems to back up the data, that they're not, I mean, they're using cloud-based systems, that's not crossing borders. That's something that's without our control. And for much data, it may not be an issue, but it tends to be an issue for healthcare information, that data should not be crossing borders into the US or elsewhere. But once it leaves my premises, or any practice's premises, then we really don't have a lot of control over that. Is there a way to gauge that?
Yeah, very good question, Dr. Saab. So the company that you work with as a cloud service provider, it's not offering you a free service. So you have a contractual, they have a contractual obligation to store your data and secure it. All cloud service providers, at least all the major ones, I'm talking of Amazon, Microsoft, and so many large scale ones. I would say even the medium sized ones, they do use disk encryption. So that's a pretty common standard. So your data where these images and records are stored, even if that somebody stole the hard drive, your data is useless to them because it will not be accessible without it going back into that same system and using your business's authentication. You've got a secure password and a channel to upload and read that data. So that data is secure wherever it is. Second, you have a right to ask your service provider, where is the storage? Is it in Canada or is it somewhere outside Canada? And you can mandate that it be within Canada. In my company, we work with Fortune 500 companies, and they ask this question to us that we are giving you sensitive data. Where are you going to store it? So because of our contractual obligations, we have to disclose where is this data stored, how many people view this data in the sense because we analyze technical data. So we have to view it. It's transmitted in a secure manner, means it's transmitted in an encrypted manner from their premises using internet to our premises to our servers. But once it comes to our servers, then they exchange the password to decrypt it, and we analyze that data. It's a technical data. So we have to disclose. If they ask, we have to disclose how many people will handle. And they have a right to put, the head office of my company is in Tel Aviv, Israel. So they sometimes mandate Canadian companies, security commissions, banks, they mandate that this data be not shared with anybody who's non-Canadian. So we have a contractual obligation to ensure that happens. And we have to share the data retention policy, the data discarding policy, all that is legally bound. So you should ask that question to your service provider and mandate that data be kept in Canada and be used in the most secure manner. You even ask questions as to what backups do they take, what measures do they take to ensure that your data is never lost and is restored in a timely manner due to the sensitivity of those records.
Jazakallah, thank you.
And yeah, I would like to add, just like, yeah, as well as the Nazir mentioned, yeah, ask the your cloud service provider and ask them to not, your data shouldn't be go outside of the Canada, and also ask the what kind of encryption it is used to store your data. Encryption means your data is like restricted, and that is not like using the mathematical algorithm, and it is not in form of readable format. So and you will get some asymmetric or asymmetric keys, like some kind of, like, the password in simple words. And then even, yeah, if someone has access to the hard disk or any form of, access to your data without the encryption key, won't be able to read the data, because to decrypt the data, you need that encryption keys to convert your data back to in the readable format data. And there are, like, it is common in like some agencies or some, like the Canadian departments, government departments, so your data shouldn't be go outside of the Canada. So yeah, you can ask, and I would recommend like use the reliable cloud service provider, not like the small or like outside of the Canada. Like Microsoft has like mandatory services that provide the data that should be stored in the Canadian soil, and that shouldn't be go outside of Canada. Yeah, very good question.
Yes, yes.
And
So,
also check what are the health sector compliance and what are the requirements.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we in the service provider that I use, they do encrypt it, and in the software that we use, I've asked that question before, and because I selectively chose to go with a local company, a Toronto-based company, all their operations are within the boundaries of the country. But I do know that there are a lot of companies that service our industry that are North America wide or global, and then they utilize a lot of global services, and then this is more of a risk for them. And as both of you suggested, the practitioners need to be very vigilant and be on top of it. So
you should also ask their DR policy, disaster recovery policy, in the sense that if Toronto burns down, where is that data elsewhere?
Elsewhere, okay.
Yeah,
So where they store their data as a backup. So
backup, because that may be outside Canada, or
yeah.
it should be within Canada if that company is Canadian.
Yeah,
true.
But not in that Toronto, not in the same city.
Thank you. Jazakumullah khair.
Welcome.
Right. I think with that said, I think it was a great closing question, Raksha. Jazakallah khair. So thank you everyone again, and for your contributions, questions, panelists, your insight into all these different things that you and your help with the suggestion. Again, at the end of the call, I just wanted to provide this disclosure that we need to exercise caution again in our decision. None of these advice that was provided on this platform is meant to be taken, just as is. Please exercise caution and look at your circumstances and your requirements before you make a decision. With that said, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.